Hey there, and thanks for joining us for Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link Virtual Studios. I'm Bob Woods. Bryn Tillman is off, and Stan Robinson Jr. is here today. How you doing, Stan?
Doing fantastic. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well. It is 2026 and time to, start looking at things maybe slightly differently when it comes to our use of LinkedIn, and that's exactly why we're here today to get that process started. So, I don't know about you, Stan, but for me, the things I do during my business day tend to work better if they're already a part of how I work and not some kind of mental add on to what I'm already doing. And I'm guessing you would probably agree with that, Stan.
Yep. That's a great way to look at it. These things are part of your daily workflow, thought process on the calendar, whatever the case may be. It definitely helps rather than trying to figure it out
Yeah,
every
yeah.
time
And
you start
actually,
the new day.
Yeah, and actually, the one thing that we didn't put in that is really important is to absolutely schedule this stuff in your calendar. Actually, block it out. So everything that we're telling you to do today, block it out somehow in your calendar. So when it comes to that type of mental attitude, for lack of a better phrase, coming in, that's what LinkedIn is to me. It's really just a part of what I do, and it can be a part of your day for you, meaning our listeners, too. So we're going to bring you 10 LinkedIn activities that will help you start out your new year in the right way with LinkedIn on board with you so that you can start those all important sales conversations. So before we get started with that list, we do have an accompanying ebook that you can download so that you don't have to furiously take notes. Everything that we're talking about is going to be in this ebook. It's called, appropriately enough, 10 LinkedIn activities to start 2026 the right way. It's at socialsaleslink.com/start 2026. So all of those are all one word, socialsaleslink.com/start 2026. And obviously 2026 is the numbers. It's not spelled out. We would not do that to you. So with that, Stan, let's get started with number one, which is really foundational and yet really important at the same time.
Yep. So we talk about re-anchor your LinkedIn profile around who you help and why it matters. The start of the year is a good time to revisit this to make sure that your profile correctly reflects how you want to represent yourself and the value you offer to your audience. So, good time to have a look at your LinkedIn headline. Make sure that it still talks about your value proposition in 220 characters or less, and to make sure that your about section talks about who you serve, the problem that you help them solve, and the results that they will see as a result of working with you. So just make sure that those are congruent with where you see yourself going for the coming year. Any thoughts beyond that, Bob?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, it's your profile is foundational. You don't have to really concentrate it on it every day. In fact, checking in on it, once a quarter is just, but I mean, making sure now that it's exactly where you want it to be is important. And then, end of March, look at it, go, yeah, I still do that. I still help that. Sometimes you may gain insights just from clients who you helped that you could go, oh, well, maybe I can put that in, or maybe I'll take this out, or something like that too. So, don't think of your LinkedIn profile as something that's chiseled in stone. It can be changed. It can be changed whenever you want to. I wouldn't change it all the time or every day necessarily, but you can change it if you find things that are resonating more with the people who you're having those all important sales conversations with. That's probably where you should draw that from more than anything else. We're actually going to get into that a little bit later, but just generally speaking, though, the profile is very important, but you don't have to stress out about it every single day because the things that you do really need to concentrate more on are going to be most of the things that we're talking about coming up here. And so that leads us, excuse me, to number two. Boy, you can tell I haven't been doing this for a while because my voice is giving out already. Review and warm up your existing network. So, the very first thing you should be doing every day, the very first thing that you should be blocking out in your calendar, starting every day inside your first degree connections. So, reaching out to just some of those connections. We're not saying every single one, especially if you're in the several hundreds or even in the thousands. We're not advising you to go nuts with this stuff. But, visit 3 to 5 existing connections. And by visit, I mean go to their profile. So one of the things that happens with that is that you actually show up in their who's viewed your profile. So you've already got a radar ping, as I call it, in their minds if they check that type of thing all the time, which they should be doing, but they may not. But if they do, that's great. And then, just like or comment on recent activity if they've done something. Now, recent could be like probably the past couple of weeks. If you're going into like months and things like that, that looks creepy. Don't do that. But, definitely on some of the more recent stuff. But if there is no activity, just make a note to reach out and message them later. And we're actually going to get into that as well. But, you definitely want to be reaching out to these people. The biggest thing that this does is it replaces random scrolling, which I don't know about anyone else out there, but I kind of have a resolution this year to stop doom scrolling. And so, this replaces that random scrolling. So you have instead a mindset of intentional relationship building. And that's what that's what we all should be doing anyhow. And that's definitely a mindset type of thing that this step or this action will bring about within you, Stan.
Yep, so true. And the reason we talk about warming up your existing network is because it's so easy. Well, at least I'll speak for myself. It's so easy to forget about the people that we're connected with. And you look around and it's been 3 years since you touched someone that you had a great conversation with, but
Mhm.
just totally forgot about. So that's why it's important to be intentional about it.
Intentional. And all of this stuff that we're talking about is intentional. So this will definitely build that being intentional whenever you're on LinkedIn muscle so that, what's the old number ever a habit is formed in 28 days or blah blah or whatever that number is. This will definitely help fortify that so that at some point it's going to be like every single day, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and you're just cranking them out just like that. I don't know if you heard the snaps, but I was snapping there. So the next thing is going to be
Yep.
where are we at? We're on number 3, Stan.
Yep. So these tie together very closely. We talk about reintroducing yourself without pitching.
Yes.
So when you do survey your existing network and start to reconnect with people, don't bombard them. If you're sending a LinkedIn DM, one message in a day is fine. That's all you need. And it doesn't hurt to acknowledge if it's been a while since you've been in touch with them. So you don't all of a sudden pop up on their radar and act as if you spoke yesterday when it's been 3 years. But do keep it human. Ideally, reference something that's relevant to them. And you can try to get a conversation started by just asking a question, again, relevant to them, a non-salesy question. This is not a time to send a calendar link or a message about your latest promotion. It's just a time to rekindle the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And starting out light, I think is really important because you don't want to hit someone over the head with something like, so So, what are your specific goals for Q1 in terms of increasing your sales efficiency, or something like that?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that because A, that type of question is intrusive anyhow, and B, you know, just like Stan said, you're really just starting to warm things up, and you don't warm things up by bludgeoning someone. You do it very lightly, and everything that Stan said is a great way to do that. So with that, we're going to go to our fourth thing, which is committing to comment-led engagement. So engagement is bigger than ever on LinkedIn. There are studies out there now that show that engagement is huge in terms of the algorithm. It shows that you are more engaged, for lack of a better phrase, because that's what it is. And the algorithm will start promoting your content more if you're engaging with other people. So this is your daily visibility engine. So some of the actions, probably the biggest one is commit to leaving 3 to 5 thoughtful comments, emphasis on thoughtful, on content that's from your clients, from your prospects, industry voices, your buyers trust, as well as your first degree connections, obviously, who know no matter who they are, you definitely want to do that too. But when you're commenting, add perspective, really contribute to the conversation. God knows you don't want to go, hey, great post type of thing, which you've heard all of us here say incessantly. And there's a reason for that, because that type of stuff just doesn't work. You roll your eyes whenever you see that on anything that you post. Believe me, other people are rolling their eyes as well. You want to add perspective, because this is going to keep you visible without actually doing a post every day, too. This is actually easier than posting, believe it or not. You're thinking, oh my God, how can that be? Once you get into the habit of doing it, man, you can really get going with comments, especially if people start commenting on what you comment on. That's just gold. That is absolute gold. That's what you want to have happen. That is contributing content without posting. And that's what comment led engagement is all about. So with that, Stan, I love this next one because I think it's the logical evolution in with a feature that LinkedIn started a couple years ago that people just badly misused, and nowadays though people are using it really well. So you should do it as well.
Yes, and just to piggyback on what you just talked about before I jump into poll,
Yeah.
is I love the term comment-led engagement.
Hmm.
Um, because commenting is definitely easier than posting. And it's kind of like getting a threefer, so to speak. You're supporting the person whose post you're commenting on. You're
Hmm.
raising your own level of visibility. And
Hmm.
presumably, since Bob mentioned that the comment needs to be thoughtful, you're adding to the conversation, which helps the overall community.
Yep. And
One,
you're also, yeah, and you're also showing your own expertise as well. So, you are proving yourself as the expert that you quite frankly are in whatever it is that you do, and what you bring to your clients.
Yep. And briefly, just to go back to what we started with, one of the reasons we mentioned your profile is because your profile follows you all over LinkedIn. So when you are
Yep.
commenting, guess what people are going to see? They're going to see your photo and headline there. So that's why it needs to be intentional. Now,
Absolutely.
shifting gears to polls, uh, great features. Bob said people kind of misused it at the beginning, but polls are a great way of collecting research. It's You can view it as a form of posting. Polls invite engagement because you're asking people to contribute their opinion by selecting from one of the four choices. By the way, so I don't forget, the fourth choice should almost always be, unless you can think of exceptions, Bob, an other. Share your thoughts in comments, because oftentimes you're going to get the gold in the comments. It's not going to be the first three things that you're offering people as options. It's going to be their thoughts in the comments.
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. And I mean, there are always going to be exceptions to that rule. I can't think of any in particular right now, but there may be some times where you're just like, okay, I have four specific things, and I really want people to just vote on these four things only and nothing else. I really hope that that's not the case too often. I could see maybe once in a blue moon where you actually want to do that, but a vast majority of the time, do what Stan said.
Yeah. And to wrap up with polls, I mean, the beauty of polls is you're asking the community for their opinion on a specific issue. So polls do take some thought, both in terms of the initial question, the choices that you offer the audience to choose from, and then of course the other share in comments is open-ended. But it offers the benefit of you get visibility, you're sharing content that presumably asks a question that's going to be of interest to your audience. And everyone always wants to hear how other people think about issues that are important to them. And so it's an opportunity to raise your visibility, get research done by finding out what people actually think, and create engagement. Because when people do vote or if they do comment, you definitely want to thank them for voting and engage with their comments. Any other thoughts on polls, Bob? I guess we are excited about polls.
Oh yeah. I think polls are just absolutely tremendous, and everything that you have there is absolutely golden. So I am going to bring up a comment from someone I don't know who, to talk about commenting. I'm seeing people in my list, they don't engage much over LinkedIn. That's exactly what we're talking about. Many I find have no posts or comments as far back as 6 months. That's when you want to do what we talked about a little bit, just in terms of just asking a light non-sales question that was in number three. You're basically reintroducing yourself without pitching, and that's what you really need to do. And the easiest way to do that is to and I wish I could think of an example for this, but everyone is so individual. It's really difficult to come up with an example unless you can think of one, Stan. But it's a really light question that, like I said, isn't probing, isn't uncomfortable, or anything like that. That's how you can get a conversation started with those people who don't use LinkedIn for engagement, or for commenting, and well, yeah, engagement too, but yeah, definitely commenting and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Not anything to add to that. That's perfect.
Okay, great. So before we move on, I want to remind everyone of the ebook, which I'm going to bring back up here really quick as soon as I find it here. It's one of the disadvantages of, let's see, there it is. We're going to show this sucker right there. So the free ebook, socialsaleslink.com/start 2026, socialsaleslink.com/start 2026. Everything is listed in there that we are talking about today. So with that, we're going to go back to our list that is in the ebook, conveniently. So, turning conversations into content. Hey, that sounds kind of familiar. We just talked about that. Your inbox is, whether it's messaging inboxes from wherever, your emails, or whatever, they the stuff that you get in there can be golden. And even just from your conversations with other people, that can be golden as well. So, really keep track of the insights that you're sharing and the questions that they are asking that bring about those insights as well. So, excuse me, capture an insight from a comment, from a message, from especially client questions. Because if one client has the question, or if one prospect has the question, other people are having those exact same questions. Save those to running notes. And at that point, you have a base upon which to draw for future content. Excuse me, maybe even for future conversations or whatever. You're not doing this to post daily. In fact, we don't suggest that you post daily anymore. You are collecting relevance. This is the stuff that people are talking about. This is the stuff that you want to highlight because these people are a part of your audience and you are trying to draw other people from LinkedIn who are a part of that audience to have conversations with. And this is just an absolute golden way to do that, Stan.
Yep, so true. And I know we just talked about polls. That's another source of potential
Yes.
content when you get feedback from people. So LinkedIn is powerful when it comes to multiple sources of ideas that you can use to turn into content that benefits your audience.
Could not agree more. So with that, let's talk a little bit about referrals. It's something else that LinkedIn is great for.
Yes, and one of the reasons it's so great for it is that you can see who the people that you're directly connected to on LinkedIn are in turn connected to. So for those of us who remember the days of the Rolodex, it would be like being able to look at someone's Rolodex and see who everybody in their Rolodex, or to bring it into the 21st century, in their email address book or their phone address book, you would be able to see who those people are in turn connected to, which is very powerful. So be intentional about figuring out who's in a position to give you referrals. It could be someone that's in a business that's complementary to yours, that serves the same audience but doesn't compete with you, or just someone that you know well and is happy to help you. We already mentioned the fact that oftentimes it may have been a while since you've been in touch with some of these people. So if you realize they may be a good source of referral, your first retouch, so to speak, should not be, hey, I noticed you're connected with Bob on LinkedIn. I'd like to meet Bob. Can you refer me to him or introduce me? No, first, as we mentioned earlier, rekindle the conversation and the relationship, or offer something of value to them before you ask them for a referral. But do realize that there are people you're connected to on LinkedIn who can give you introductions to people who can help you accomplish your objectives. So be intentional about following up.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I will emphasize about that is intentional. That's what everything here is all about. And you should definitely be intentional about referrals without a doubt. So, with that, let's get to number 8, which is replacing the hey, I'm just following up type of message that we all get all the time and we all, once again, roll our eyes about, to adding value. So, never follow up empty handed. I really don't think I need to explain that one anymore because there is nothing more empty, empty that just does nothing but either put pressure on the other person to respond with something off the top of their head or just have them rolling their eyes at you with a typical following up type of message. What should you do instead? So, in terms of like daily actions, choose one open conversation that you have and then reply, but rather than reply with hey, following up, reply with some kind of observation on whatever it is you've been talking about. And again, I won't come up with examples just because there are way too many things out there that you could be talking about. Some kind of related insight, whether it's a LinkedIn post that you've recently seen, whether, this could be an ebook that you have on it that you invite, that you say, hey, we have an ebook on this subject. Please let me know if you're interested. I'll send you the link. Never send the link unsolicited because that seems like spam. Never do that. Or a connection to something that they shared as well. So this is something that they've shared with you. Maybe you can come up with someone they can talk to if you'd like to really become a resource for them. So this is a way for you to become a resource and not just someone who is just following up on a conversation. Is the biggest thing about this is it keeps up momentum with whatever conversation that you've been having without pressure, because I think that people are more in tune than ever with pressure and being pressured into doing things that they don't want to do. And so people never want to be pressured, but I think it's especially big nowadays. By doing those things and potentially other things, bringing value, just bring value. Don't just go, hey, following up. What do you think, Stan?
Yep. I mean, that couldn't agree more. And you will set yourself apart if you're in sales from your competitors when you bring value instead of simply saying, hey, just following up, because that's what most other people are doing. So saying just following up is like uh, asking, what do you have for me? In other words, are you ready to go forward on the deal? As opposed to offering value, which is, here's something that may be able to help you.
Yep. Yep. 100%. 100%. So next, let's get into uh, daily activity.
Yeah, so this one, have to give credit where credit. This is a brilliant insight. I know this one's from Bryn as well.
Hmm.
But view your activity, now this is your own activity, like a pipeline, not a news feed. And I know this is geared toward those of us who have a sales mentality, because there's a certain way that we look at a sales pipeline. We're looking at opportunities and what worked, and looking at metrics and this sort of thing. So look at your own activity and see, okay, what turned into new conversations? What helped, as Bob mentioned, build momentum with existing conversations and kind of taking it to the next step? So you can, those are just a couple of metrics you can come up with your own. But the point is to review your own activity and look at what's working, look at how much progress you've made, because that will tell you what to do next in terms of what you need to do tomorrow. So that's something that when I looked at that, I said, oh, that is super insightful, because I'd never thought about it that way.
Yeah, that's a major thought process change. I think is to I mean, because feed to me is like doom scrolling. You just read all the crap that's out there and you just move on without really doing anything. Again, LinkedIn, different. No feed, pipeline. I think that's probably the easiest way to think about it. This ain't X, folks. This ain't Instagram or whatever. Although I think X probably works better there in terms of actual doom scrolling, because there's nothing but doom and gloom on that site. But anyhow, that's another story for another time. But yeah, so I mean, I also like the fact that by treating it as a pipeline, you're actually setting yourself up with more actions to do based on what's in that feed. You're not letting things lie fallow.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important as well. And again, kudos to Bryn on coming up with that, because that is I've been saying the word golden a lot this podcast episode. That's platinum. Let's just say it right there. That is platinum right there. And I'm pretty sure that platinum is more important
Yeah.
than gold. I'm just assuming
Yep.
that at this point. So okay. So with that, number 10 is in the ebook. It says create the simple daily LinkedIn plan. I'm gonna add the word implement, execute, however you want to say, create and implement the simple daily LinkedIn plan, because now you got to turn all this into a daily workflow to use LinkedIn as that relationship for sales channel. But you need that simple, repeatable operating rhythm. So that means following everything that we've talked about here, definitely putting it into your calendar, block out your calendar so that you have blocks during the day, whatever your day looks like. You can do a beginning end type of thing. There are other ways to do it. And of course, everybody's calendar is different. Everybody's day is different. I don't presume to know exactly what it is that you do, and I wouldn't do that. But you somehow block out these things so that you are doing them on a daily basis, because it's going to be tough at first. But as you keep doing it, it's going to become more of a rhythm. It's going to become more of a habit. It's going to become more of a mindset so that you are compounding all of this into visibility, into trust, into warm conversations that you're having over time. Because what are you going to get out of it? You're going to get a sustainable social selling practice that fits into a real work day, your real work day. And it's going to support your long-term profile growth without feeling salesy, without feeling forced. Because if you're feeling salesy, if you're feeling forced in what you're doing, everyone out there who you're talking to and who you're communicating with is going to feel like that as well, Stan.
Yep, very true. And the good news is if you pick up the ebook, the order that these activities are listed in, because there are a number of them, are a good order of priority. So start small. Don't try to do all of them at once every day, because that will get discouraging. Pick
Yep.
one or two to start with.
That is a great way to do it. And to get that, you go to socialsaleslink.com/start 2026. Socialsaleslink.com/start 2026. That's all one word at the very end. In fact, everything is all one word. Don't need to worry about dashes or anything like that. So, with that, I think we're going to wrap things up. So, whether you've been with us live or recorded via our podcast, we appreciate you truly joining us for this episode of Making Sales Social Live. We do our live sessions weekly, so please join us. If you're listening to us on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, follow button, whatever it is on the platform that you're listening to access all of our previous shows and be alerted to when new ones drop. If you have that star or whatever icon that alerts you automatically as well, go ahead and click that. Besides these LinkedIn Lives, we also interview leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many more areas. So be sure to catch those episodes as well. Socialsaleslink.com/podcast is where you're going to want to go to also find out more about who we are, what we do, and to access all of our episodes there as well. So, Stan, when everyone is out and about, be sure to make your sales
social.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Looking forward to helping you out in 2026 as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye-bye.